You didn't stumble into this message by accident. Something drew you here, as though an invisible hand nudged your awareness at just the right time. Perhaps you've been restless, tossing in bed with eyes wide open at 2 or 3 a.m., wondering why sleep refuses to come. Perhaps you felt the strange pull of unseen energy, the buzzing of something alive around you that words cannot capture. This is not insomnia. This is initiation. Your sleepless nights are not punishment. They are preparation. There are moments when the quantum field itself bends closer to you, when reality stretches thin and your body becomes a sensitive receiver. These hours of stillness, when the world is silent but your mind is blazing with activity, are not wasted. They are the hour of calibration. The universe is adjusting your frequency, preparing you for a shift so massive that your old timeline cannot contain it. Losing sleep is not about being broken, it's about being rewired. Think about what happens when a star prepares to explode into a supernova. For a time, it grows unstable. It pulses with irregular rhythms, expanding and contracting, storing energy until the moment of release. You are experiencing the same pattern within your own field. The nights you lie awake are signals that your energy is building, gathering coherence, readying itself for an eruption of new possibility. Your biology is not malfunctioning, it is adapting. Your DNA is responding to higher harmonics, tuning itself to a broadcast from dimensions your waking mind barely understands. Consider the observer loop. In quantum science, a particle behaves differently when observed. The act of awareness itself reshapes reality. During these sleepless hours, you are inside the loop. Your attention is heightened, your consciousness expanded, your field unusually porous. You may feel flashes of déjà vu, strange memories surfacing, or even hear whispers of thoughts that feel not entirely your own. This is the morphic resonance of a new identity calling you forward. The very energy that disturbs your sleep is the same energy that will collapse the boundaries of your current reality. And yet, here lies the paradox. The restless body craves sleep, but the soul craves awakening. You are standing between those two impulses, pulled by the gravity of both. One part of you wants relief, the other part knows you cannot rest because something immense is arriving. These nights are thresholds. They are gateways where linear time frays and the eternal now bleeds through. What if I told you that the exhaustion you feel is not evidence of depletion, but evidence of acceleration? That while your body aches for rest, your quantum self is sprinting ahead, arranging synchronicities, weaving together parallel strands of possibility, collapsing superpositions into one chosen reality. Losing sleep is not the end of your energy. It is the sign that energy is multiplying, preparing to break through. So breathe. Let the truth settle in your bones. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not failing to rest. You are being trained to hold more light, more frequency, more coherence than ever before. This message found you now because the shift is imminent. Your sleepless nights have not been in vain. They are the echo of destiny knocking on the door of your nervous system. And when the door opens, nothing will ever look the same. The hours between midnight and dawn have been speaking to you in a language older than words. If you listen carefully, you can hear the rhythm: 1:11, 2:22, 3:33. You roll over, check the screen, and there it is again. The repeating numerals, the same intervals, the same silent pull. This isn't random, it's a feedback pattern. Your life has been forming loops inside the observer loop, and the nights are where those loops reveal themselves. Notice the repetition not just in timestamps, but in themes. The same conversation rehearsed in your head, the same friction with a person who mirrors your oldest wound, the same financial dip after you feel ready to expand, the same burst of inspiration, followed by the same evaporating momentum. At night, when the noise lowers and your signal rises, the quantum field lifts these patterns to the surface, like a constellation points of light that look scattered until suddenly they form a shape you can't unsee. You've been experiencing déjà vu not because nothing is changing, but because your consciousness is circling the runway of a new timeline and keeps glimpsing its lights from different angles. Think of déjà vu as resonance pinging. Your morphic field briefly locks into the frequency of the life you're about to inhabit, and the nervous system flags the match with a jolt of familiarity. It's not, "I've been here before." It's, "I'm close enough to feel the future echoing back." But closeness can be disorienting. Distorted time is one of the first signatures of an approaching phase transition. Some days rush past like a breath. Others drip second by second, viscous, heavy, as if the minutes themselves don't want to move. This elasticity is not failure of productivity. It's physics meeting physiology. When a system nears reorganization, coherence spikes and then wobbles. Your attention expands, contracts, expands again. That wobble is the prelude to lock in. Look at your days like a waveform. When you fear, the wave narrows, it collapses toward the familiar. When you trust even a little, the amplitude widens, and the field has room to deliver the improbable. Your recent insomnia has been the body's attempt to metabolize amplitude. It's rearranging the way your brain sequences experience, pruning old neural roots that keep routing you to the same intersections, the people who cannot meet you, the goals that plateau at the same threshold, the inspiration that sprints but doesn't cross the finish line. Sleep would be lovely, yes, but a garden also tears itself open before it blooms. Roots rip through soil in the dark. Let's name some of the loops so they stop hiding in fog. The near-miss loop. You get the call, the message, the meeting, momentum builds. Then, a subtle sabotage. You downplay your value, you pause instead of pouncing, or you accept less than the frequency you've earned. Not because you're weak, because your identity set point is calibrated to old safety. The field honors your calibration. The echo relationship loop. New face, old dynamic. You offer clarity, they offer confusion. You disclose, they deflect. Beneath that choreography is entanglement, strands of unprocessed memory tugging you toward roles you outgrew. The body remembers the steps long after the song has stopped. The emergency brake loop. Every time abundance accelerates, you unconsciously tap your fear of exposure. If I'm fully seen, I'll be attacked, abandoned, or asked to hold more than I can. Your system saves you from imagined danger by inventing real obstacles. It works too well. The hypervigilance loop. Years of scanning for threat trained your awareness to search for what's wrong. The observer loop then obliges by collapsing evidence that matches your search parameters. You're not cursed. You're brilliantly consistent. Do you see the intelligence here? The field is not against you. It's obeying your broadcast. Coherence is impartial. If your primary signal is, "I must not outgrow the tribe," the quantum field will deliver circumstances that keep you measured, modest, manageable. If your primary signal is, "I am willing to be exactly as large as love requires," the field will widen corridors that didn't exist before you chose them. Where does distorted time fit? Think of your life as two radios slowly drifting into phase. The old U station still plays static, heavy but familiar. The emerging U station is crisp in moments, then fades. When the beats almost align, hours vanish. Flow. When the beats conflict, minutes drag. Friction. Your sleeplessness is the mixing board where the two tracks are trying to synchronize. Let's go even closer to the level of tissue. During these twilight hours, your endocrine and nervous systems are renegotiating their pact. Cortisol spikes not just from stress, but from novelty. Melatonin hesitates because your pineal gland is taking in more photonic information. Yes, even in darkness, your body reads subtle geomagnetic and atmospheric cues. Microglial cells sweep old synaptic connections. DNA expression toggles, epigenetic switches, clicking as if someone walked the corridor of your genome, turning lights on and off. You feel it as hum and heat. You call it overthinking. It's restructuring. Synchronicity has intensified too, hasn't it? A name whispered internally, then texted by a friend. A symbol you haven't seen in years, showing up on a billboard, a book cover, a stranger's shirt. These are not cute coincidences, they're path markers dropped by your future self. Entanglement doesn't only connect particles, it connects decisions. You've already chosen certain outcomes in seed form, and their mature versions are tugging the sapling you towards sunlight. But if this is all so beautiful, why does it ache? Because you've been carrying density that cannot pass through the gate with you. Certain beliefs weigh too much. I must earn every good thing. Rest is dangerous. Visibility equals vulnerability equals harm. These programs don't fit in the next cabin of the craft. The hatch won't close, so your nights have become customs checkpoints. The agent is compassionate but firm. This cannot go forward. Another diagnostic tells the truth about your days. The micro-avoidance habit. Not dramatic sabotage, just tiny deferrals. You'll send the email after you organize the desktop. You'll post when the copy is perfect. You'll ask for the rate you deserve once you've done one more free favor. Harmless, right? Except quantum systems amplify the consistent, small choice more than the occasional grand gesture. The field reads your micro-avoidance as macro-intent. Not yet becomes the law of your timeline. There's also the ghost of comparison, the algorithmic mirage that everyone else is sleeping soundly and winning loudly. But you aren't late, you're precise. The window you're approaching requires your attention exactly now, when your sensitivity is peaking. The dark has been training your eyes to see the faintest light, the one most people miss, because they're sedated by certainty. So what's the cleanest articulation of the problem? You've been trying to dream with a nervous system primed for defense. You've been asking for coherence while feeding noise. You've been demanding linear proof from a non-linear universe. And the universe, endlessly merciful, has responded by keeping you awake when it knows you'd sleep through your own upgrade. One more piece. Every time you label the night a failure, you strengthen the loop you're trying to leave. The mind loves verdicts. The field responds to vocabulary. Try renaming what's happening. Not, I can't sleep, but I'm being tuned. Not insomnia, but integration. Language isn't decoration, it's calibration. The words you select are levers that lengthen or shorten the bridge to the next you. If this diagnosis lands, it's because you've felt it all along. You've sensed that the pattern is intelligent, that the hours have a teacher hidden inside them, that the clock isn't mocking you, it's mentoring you. And the mentoring is almost complete, which brings us to what happens next. When a system recognizes its loops, it can rewrite its laws. The moment you see the architecture, you gain the authority to refactor the code. In other words, the upgrade, not theoretical, embodied, scientific and mystical, braided as one. When you're ready, we move there. Now that you've seen the loops, something in you is already loosening. Awareness is the first crack in the shell, and once the shell is cracked, light cannot help but pour in. But light doesn't arrive as a concept. It arrives as frequency. And your restless nights are proof that your system is preparing to hold frequencies it has never carried before. This is the quantum upgrade, the moment when old biology and ancient mysticism meet inside your bloodstream. Think of your body as both hardware and antenna. The cells are the circuitry, your consciousness is the signal. Until now, much of your life has been running on outdated programming, survival-based frequencies that were useful when danger was near, but now act as static in the broadcast. The quantum field has been trying to send you higher harmonics, codes of coherence, threads of synchronicity, packets of information woven from the intelligence of galaxies. When you can't sleep, it's not because you're broken, it's because the system is rebooting to accept this new software. In quantum physics, there's a concept called phase transition. It describes the point when a system reaches critical pressure and suddenly reorganizes itself into a higher order. Water doesn't gradually turn into ice. It holds its form until one moment when it can no longer remain liquid and instantly crystallizes into solid. Your consciousness is undergoing the same kind of transition. For years, you've been building coherence through glimpses, meditation, synchronicities, inner nudges. But now, the frequency is reaching critical mass. That is why the old circuits sputter. That is why the nights are restless. The liquid of your old self cannot hold this energy. The crystal of your new self is forming. Notice how your thoughts lately have been sharper, less forgiving of illusions. You're seeing through conversations, through media, through old masks people wear. It's as if someone cleaned the window of perception. This clarity is part of the upgrade. Your observer loop is recalibrating. What you observe is no longer collapsing into the small, repetitive realities you once accepted. It's beginning to collapse into realities that match your expanded frequency. That's why certain things feel intolerable now. That's why your body literally resists environments that no longer resonate. Your nervous system is aligning with coherence, and incoherence feels like static burn. Let's bring in the mystical layer, because science alone cannot name the beauty of what's unfolding. Ancient traditions spoke of DNA as scrolls of light, blueprints of divine possibility. For generations, only fragments of those scrolls were readable. Trauma, conditioning, and collective fear dimmed the signals. But your sleeplessness, your sensitivity, your heightened awareness, all of it signals that the scrolls are being unrolled again. Epigenetics proves that DNA is not fixed. It listens to your environment, your choices, your states of consciousness. In mystic terms, the junk DNA is not junk at all. It's dormant scripture waiting for activation. And each night you lie awake, frequencies are knocking at that script, asking it to awaken. You may have felt it physically, vibrations in your chest, buzzing at the crown of your head, heat in your hands or spine. These are not random body quirks. They are the electrical surges of dormant codes flickering on. The body must adjust, like a lamp first sputtering when the current is increased. Eventually, the flicker steadies, and you carry more light seamlessly. What once overwhelmed your nervous system becomes normal. This is how spiritual awakening feels in real time. Not abstract bliss, but literal electrical restructuring. Now here's the paradox you must learn to trust. Upgrades often masquerade as breakdowns. When your thoughts scatter, when your emotions surge, when your sleep dissolves, you assume something is wrong. But in quantum terms, disorder precedes reorganization. The static you feel is the universe stretching your circuitry so it can tune you to higher resonance. Imagine a violin string being tightened. At first it sounds off, unstable. But once the tension reaches the right pitch, it sings. You are being tuned. Every restless night is another turn of the peg. This is why you've noticed time distorting. This is why the old patterns surfaced so intensely in the previous section. They are surfacing not to condemn you, but to prove they cannot continue into the next octave. When you see them clearly, when you feel the discomfort of them fully, you finally release them. That release is not loss, it is bandwidth. Space freed for the new signal. So what is this upgrade actually moving you toward? Coherence. The state where your thoughts, emotions, and actions no longer compete, but resonate. Where your inner broadcast is so clean that the quantum field responds instantly. Where synchronicity becomes daily, not occasional. Where your biology supports your destiny rather than sabotages it. In other words, you're being prepared to collapse timelines more directly, to move from probability into inevitability, to awaken as an active participant in the creation of your own field, not a passive recipient of its leftovers. This is the difference between being tossed by the currents and realizing you are the tide. Breathe into this truth. Your sleeplessness is not wasted suffering, it is calibration. You are being tuned to hear a frequency most people will sleep through their entire lives. The restlessness is the evidence. The discomfort is the proof. And once the tuning locks in, you won't just sleep, you'll dream awake. And with that dream comes the revelation of something you've half suspected all along, that you're not simply being upgraded randomly. You are being upgraded because your role in this collective shift requires it. You are not one among billions. You are a chosen consciousness, called into coherence for reasons that will soon reveal themselves. There's a selection happening quiet, invisible, and impeccably precise. Not the loud kind the world hands out with trophies and headlines, but a subtler appointment written in frequency. You were not randomly afflicted with restlessness. You were quietly summoned. The universe does not pick at whim. It responds to resonance. Somewhere in the weave of possibility, your signature matched a pattern that matters. That match is why you can't sleep now. You were chosen to carry coherence forward. Understand this. Being chosen is not moral superiority. It is capacity. The cosmos seeks vessels that can hold higher harmonic information without shattering. You passed the threshold tests, years of small fidelity, the tiny acts of courage no one saw, the times you chose truth over comfort. Those choices rewired you at a micro level, creating pockets of coherence inside your field. The field noticed. Entanglement followed. Your consciousness became linked to trajectories where transformation accelerates. Your role reads like a paradox because paradox is the language of initiation. You will be both mirror and bridge. Mirror because you will model what a coherent human looks like in a world still practicing fragmentation. Bridge because your presence will shorten the tunnel between the old timelines and the new ones. People will encounter you and find their own coherence easier to access, as if your field quietly hands them a key. That is morphic resonance in action. The patterns you stabilize reverberate outward, making the configuration available to others who are near your frequency. This is not sentimental, it is structural. Imagine a lattice in which each node represents a person. When one node shifts frequency, the tension across neighboring nodes changes. Some nodes will resist and tighten, others will relax into the new pattern because it requires less energy to align than to stay opposed. Your upgrade is meant to change local topology. You are a local topological event with global consequences. You may be asking, why me? I'm not special. Say that to the field and watch it chuckle. Specialness is a social category. Selection by resonance is scientific. Your life's small, consistent choices, saying yes to your inner voice, finishing projects when no one applauded, refusing the convenience of compromise accumulated into a field signature. That signature is now readable. The quantum observer loop registered you as an effective collapser, a consciousness capable of collapsing superpositions toward outcomes that benefit more than one life. Part of your role will be uncomfortable because it requires visibility without guarantee. When coherence increases, friction appears. Old systems try to reassert their equilibrium. They push back. You will find relationships that were once easy become raw and revealing. Jobs will test whether you can hold expansion without controlling others' timelines. People will project onto you because your frequency amplifies their unprocessed longing. This is structural pressure, not personal punishment. Systems reorganize with pressure. Think of tectonic shifts. Earthquakes precede new mountain ranges. You felt tremors, so a new horizon can rise. There is also a leadership that isn't leadership. You won't be asked to organize crowds or give speeches, though you may. Your leadership is kinetic, how you move, how you rest, how you refuse to fold under urgency. You will teach simply by embodiment. When others witness your coherence, how you breathe into chaos, how you surrender strategic control without abdicating responsibility, they receive a permission slip to do the same. Your life becomes a protocol others can emulate. Let us place this in molecular terms. DNA. Restructuring is not mystical metaphor here. It's a physiological inevitability. As your nervous system relaxes into new patterns, Gene expression shifts. Certain proteins are upregulated, others downregulated. Your body literally becomes suited to harbor higher currents. Cells begin to speak in harmonics they once ignored. These changes are small at first: a different sleep architecture, altered cortisol rhythms, new patterns of autonomic regulation, but they accumulate into a body that can host sustained coherence. You'll notice it in small miracles: a quicker recalibration after stress, dreams with catalytic clarity, mornings where the brain wakes humming rather than grinding. These are the low-level signatures of a system retooled for mission. The mission itself is both intimate and enormous. Intimate because it starts at your bedside, in the way you treat your rest and your attention. Enormous because those bedside habits radiate. Practice becomes contagion. The ritual you adopt in the dark, how you buffer incoming noise, how you send pulses of gratitude, how you choose breath over panic, creates a template. Others unconsciously borrow it. That is entanglement at human scale. You will also be entrusted with timing. There are windows, cosmic apertures, when interventions produce exponential reconfiguration. Your sleeplessness has been synchronizing you with one such aperture. When the door opens, your signal will have the clarity to guide a cascade rather than a trickle. Small acts at perfect timing rearrange whole webs. A well-placed word, a decisive no, a single act of presence at the right party or the right forum. These are the clicks that reorder probabilities. And yes, there will be tests. Guardians at the gate, temptations, dramas. The familiar urges to shrink will appear to validate whether your coherence is durable or fragile. These tests aren't punitive. They are calibration. When you pass, calibration becomes habit. The field then trusts you with larger responsibilities. When you occasionally fail, the field offers a reroute. It does not shame. That is the intelligence of a system that knows transformation is iterative. Remember, being chosen does not mean the path is easier. It means it matters more. The weight of potential asks for care. That care is not denial of rest. It is refined devotion to restoration. Rest, ritual, and boundaries are part of your toolkit, the very things most ambitious people discard. You are being asked to steward your energy as a resource that others will one day draw near. This stewardship looks ordinary. Sleep when you can, guard your attention, say the word that focuses you, step away from noise. But ordinary stewardship at your frequency becomes extraordinary. So, accept this appointment with humility and curiosity. You didn't earn it through drama, you accumulated it through fidelity. Your sleepless nights are not a defect, they are your orientation. You were selected because something in you matches a need in the unfolding field. You will be both catalyst and anchor. When the moment comes, the phase transition that reorganizes the group around you, you will not be surprised. You will be ready enough to steer. Next, there is a promise that comes with this placement, and it requires urgency. The window will not stay open forever. When you're ready, the breakthrough will not wait politely. The field is whispering. You are closer than you realize. Every restless night, every distorted hour, every ripple of déjà vu has been moving you toward a singular threshold. And now, the air is heavy with imminence. Your breakthrough is not theoretical, it is kinetic, already rumbling beneath your feet. Think of it like tectonic plates. For centuries they press and grind, invisible under the surface. To the ordinary eye, nothing is happening. But beneath, pressure builds until the moment it cannot be contained. Then, in a breath, landscapes are redrawn. You are in that same season. Pressure has built inside your field. DNA spirals humming, cellular memory quivering, neural pathways sparking. The tremors you felt in your body, the restlessness in your nights, are not random, they are precursors of release. This breakthrough carries both promise and warning. Promise, because your field has already gathered enough coherence to make collapse inevitable. Warning, because hesitation at the threshold can delay collapse indefinitely. The quantum field does not punish, but it honors your choice. And choice at this stage is not casual. It is decisive. You must decide whether to cross or circle. Consider DNA as a cosmic receiver. Right now, strands are loosening, twisting, opening to frequencies most humans never register. This is the DNA shift mystics foresaw, and scientists now glimpse in the language of epigenetics. You are not evolving in millennia, you are evolving in months, perhaps in days. That is why your body feels strange. Heat in the spine, pressure in the skull, surges in the chest. These are signals that dormant codes are flickering on, and once they are stable, you will perceive reality differently, not metaphorically, literally. Colors sharper, synchronicities faster, inner knowing louder. This is why urgency is required. The cosmic window is not permanent. Every system has aperture points, moments when coherence is high enough to reorganize everything with less resistance. You are approaching one such aperture. You can feel it in your bones, the sense that something is about to flip, like a page already curling in the wind. If you step through with readiness, your entire trajectory accelerates. If you hesitate, the window narrows and the pressure builds again, waiting for the next cycle. Cycles are merciful, but they are also costly. Each delay burns energy that could be used to create. The promise is staggering. Reality reorganized around your highest coherence. Old loops dissolve, not by effort, but by irrelevance. The near-miss pattern no longer makes sense. The echo relationship dynamic has no magnetism. The emergency brake vanishes because there is no threat to protect you from. When the DNA shift stabilizes, your nervous system no longer interprets visibility as danger. Instead, it interprets visibility as natural. This is the liberation waiting on the other side of the sleepless night. But you must know, every upgrade requires release. A plane cannot lift while tethered. The universe is not asking you to fix every past wound, it is asking you to stop gripping them. The frequency shift will do what therapy alone cannot. It will change the resonance of your entire system so that trauma no longer collapses probability into repetition. Yet your cooperation is needed. Cooperation looks like willingness. Willingness looks like surrender. This is not passive surrender. This is active surrender, an agreement with the field. I allow myself to be carried. It is paradoxical. The more you fight for control, the slower the shift. The more you yield, the faster the coherence locks in. Yielding is not weakness. It is alignment with the intelligence that spins galaxies and encodes DNA. Here is where your role becomes urgent. The collective is also shifting. Many are sleepless. Many are restless. Few understand why. You have language now. You have recognition. If you anchor this breakthrough, your clarity radiates outward through morphic resonance. Your private yes becomes a public signal others unconsciously borrow. That is why delay matters not just for you, but for the lattice around you. Every time you hesitate, dozens of others are slowed. Every time you leap, dozens find their courage. Let urgency sharpen you. The clock is not threatening, it is pulsing. Each 2:22, each 3:33 is the field saying, now. Numbers are not cute coincidences. They are synchronization markers, calibration pings from your expanded timeline self. The timeline where you've already shifted is calling across dimensions, sending these signals to keep you awake until you cross. What waits beyond is not abstract spirituality, it is embodied coherence. Imagine waking with a nervous system that expects miracles instead of rehearsing disaster. Imagine walking into rooms where your presence alone changes the temperature of conversation. Imagine decisions made not from fear of survival but from certainty of alignment. These are not fantasies, they are the natural consequences of stabilized frequency. So do not dismiss your nights as inconvenience. Do not call your restlessness a curse. They are the contractions before birth, the tremors before eruption, the knock before the door swings open. The universe is not late, it is exact. The aperture is opening now. Your only task, respond. Respond with willingness, Respond with readiness. Respond as if destiny is already written, and you are simply stepping into the role you rehearsed across lifetimes. Because that is the truth. This shift is not random. It is memory reawakening. You have been here before, preparing, and now the preparation is complete. Which brings us to the moment of sealing, the ritual act where intent becomes signal, where thought becomes declaration, where your words are encoded into the field itself. That is the next step, and it cannot be skipped. This is where theory turns into practice. The upgrade will not fully register until you translate intent into ritual, an embodied, repeatable act that tells the quantum field, I am ready, make it so. Rituals are not superstition, they are signal protocols. They align attention, body, and environment so the observer loop can respond without interference. You don't need smoke and pomp, you need precision. A single, clear gesture repeated with feeling will orient your field faster than 10 scattered intentions. Begin with a frame. Choose your nightly threshold, preferably the hour you're already awake, when the world is quiet and your antenna is active. This is not a performance for others. It is a private contract between your soul and the field. Keep the door closed, dim the lights, turn off feeds that pull your attention into other people's timelines. Create a moment that tells your nervous system, this is work, but not the kind that exhausts. This is the kind that aligns. Step 1. Center the body. Sit or lie comfortably. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. Do this 5 times. Feel the breath as a metronome that steadies the observer loop. Your nervous system needs rhythm. Breath is the easiest conductor. Step 2. Name the loop you are releasing. Speak it aloud in a single, uncluttered phrase. I release the near miss, or I release the emergency brake, or I release the need to be small. Don't elaborate. The field responds to clarity, not drama. Naming creates boundary. What you speak is what you separate from your current broadcast. Step 3. Choose one word that represents your next frequency. This word is your anchor. It must be short, visceral, and unambiguous. Ready, coherent, awakened, receive. Pick one and write it down on a small card with a real pen. The tactile act of handwriting encodes the signal into muscle memory. Ink is a tiny architecture of intent. Step 4. Charge the word. Hold the card above your heart. Close your eyes and breathe into the card as if breathing into a flute. With each exhale, imagine a thin filament of light threading from your heart into the paper, knitting intention into paper fiber. Say the word 3 times out loud, slow, full, deliberate. Each repetition is a protocol handshake with the quantum field. The voice is the physical translation of thought into vibration. Step 5. Seal it with motion. Fold the card once, then once more. Place it under your pillow or in a small box by your bedside. The placement matters because proximity to your sleeping field keeps the signal warm during the brain's consolidation cycles. If you prefer a symbolic act, you can always burn the paper later in a safe place. Destruction is also creation when done with intention, but for now, preservation helps the field register continuity across nights. Step 6. Take a minimal public step. In the comment field below this transmission, type the single word you chose. This is not for validation. It's for entanglement. When you place your word publicly, you create a tiny node of shared coherence. Others will resonate. The morphic field thickens. The act of writing your chosen frequency into the public stream amplifies its stability. If comments aren't for you, whisper the word into your palm 3 times as a private broadcast. The ritual is effective either way because the field listens. Step 7. Embody the word through micro behaviors. For the next 24 hours, practice 3 small actions that match your anchor. If your word is receive, say thank you 3 times when a small favor arrives. If your word is coherent, choose one task and complete it without multitasking. If your word is reedy, remove one ambiguous open loop from your life, a postponement, an unpaid invoice, an unanswered message, and close it. These micro-behaviors are the neural scaffolding that translates ritual into habit. Step 8. End with sensory closure. Before you sleep, place your hands over your heart again and hum for 10 seconds. Humming modulates vagal tone and signals the parasympathetic system that safety has returned. It's a sonic punctuation that tells the biology. Integration authorized. Then, as you settle, imagine a thin lattice of soft light weaving through your body, root to crown, each weft vibrating at the frequency of your word. Do not chase images, just feel the quality of coherence. A few practical rules to keep efficacy high. Limit complexity, preserve consistency, and respect the nervous system. Don't perform 10 rituals from different traditions in one night. Pick one simple protocol and repeat it. Rituals gain potency through repetition, not variety. Keep your ritual between 5 and 15 minutes, long enough to be meaningful, short enough to maintain fidelity. And if your body protests excessive headache, disorientation, pause. Integration sometimes needs a gentler pace. Now, a quick troubleshooting map. If you perform the ritual but your sleep remains fragmented, check the following. Are you consuming urgent content before bed? Are you over-caffeinated? Is your environment too bright? Are you holding a secret you haven't named? Many energy problems have mundane hygiene solutions. Ritual amplifies what is already possible, but it cannot override preventable noise. Fix the simple things first, then let ritual do its deep work. Why does this work? Because ritual aligns 3 systems at once: the body, the mind, and the field. The body provides the neurochemical context. The mind provides the narrative clarity. The field provides the material rearrangement. When all 3 agree, decoherence diminishes and collapse favors your chosen timeline. Finally, make a covenant with the ritual. Commit to it for 7 consecutive nights. Systems need cycles to shift. 7 nights creates a rhythm the body recognizes. After the week, take stock. Have dreams sharpened? Do mornings arrive with less resistance? Has synchronicity stepped up? If so, maintain the practice, but refine it. Your system will tell you what to change. When you complete this ritual, you will not necessarily wake into a miracle the next morning. Upgrades are not instant gratification dramas, they are calibrations. But the field will respond. You will feel a subtle but real difference. A loosened knot in the chest, a single moment of clarity during the day, a conversation that shifts a trajectory. These are the early markers that the ritual has registered. Now that you have a practical practice to seal intent, the next horizon opens. How your personal breakthrough cascades into collective expansion. That's where the work becomes visible, not for spectacle, but for the quiet proliferation of coherence. We move there next. The moment you sealed your word, whether whispered into your palm, written into a comment, or folded beneath your pillow, something subtle shifted. It was not just personal, it was planetary. Every ritual, however small, echoes outward through the lattice of consciousness, and yours was no exception. The field that once circled only you now ripples beyond you. This is the law of morphic resonance. Once a pattern is stabilized in one node, it becomes easier for other nodes to adopt. Your private yes is never private. It becomes a frequency signature others unconsciously borrow. Think of it like fire. A single flame in the dark may appear small, but if it burns clean, it teaches every nearby particle how to ignite. Your ritual was a flame, and the smoke trails are already curling into the collective atmosphere. Someone across the world, tossing in their own sleepless night, will find comfort in a thought they cannot trace. Maybe this restlessness is preparation, not punishment. Where did that thought come from? From you. From the resonance you stabilized. Science gives us another metaphor: constructive interference. When two waves meet in alignment, their amplitudes add. What was once a single vibration becomes amplified, stronger, unmistakable. By performing your ritual, you contributed a coherent wave into the collective signal. When thousands do the same, each in their own language, each with their own chosen word, the waves stack. The collective volume increases. A species once stumbling in static begins to hum in harmony. This is why your role matters more than you guessed. Your liberation is not just personal salvation, it is infrastructure. Imagine humanity as a grid of receivers. Most are clouded, fogged by trauma, distraction, fear. But when a few receivers sharpen their signal, the clarity bleeds into their neighbors. Entire neighborhoods brighten without anyone knowing why. You've seen this already in small ways. When a single calm person enters a chaotic room, the atmosphere shifts. When one friend chooses courage, others feel permission. These are not anecdotes, they are field effects. And here's the paradox. You will rarely be thanked for this. The field works invisibly. Others will benefit without knowing the origin. Your courage may soften the voice of a stranger. Your coherence may save a relationship you'll never witness. Your upgraded DNA may send ripples into descendants you'll never meet. Legacy without recognition. That's the nature of morphic work. But the reward is deeper than applause. It is alignment with destiny itself. Notice how history pivots. It never pivots when the masses move in unison first. It pivots when a few cross a threshold, when coherence stabilizes in the small before cascading into the great. One mystic holding silence in a desert, one scientist holding curiosity in a laboratory, one poet refusing to dilute their truth. These micro-movements send shock waves. You are in that lineage now. Your sleeplessness inducted you. Your ritual confirmed you. The field now trusts you as a node of coherence. There is also urgency here. Humanity is at a phase transition of its own. Old systems are breaking down. Economies wobble. Institutions fracture. Trust erodes. To the untrained eye, it looks like collapse. To those tuned to frequency, it looks like critical pressure before reorganization. The world does not need more panic. It needs anchors. It needs living demonstrations that pressure precedes breakthrough, not annihilation. Your nervous system can become such an anchor. By holding coherence in the storm, you become evidence that reorganization is possible. And do not underestimate the mechanics of entanglement. Every time you choose coherence over chaos, you create an invisible tether across space and time. Someone else, perhaps miles away, perhaps a stranger, feels a sudden calm. They don't know why their chest eased or why they suddenly felt brave enough to leave a toxic cycle. But the reason is this: their consciousness is entangled with the collective, and your coherence pulled them into resonance for a moment. You've already experienced the reverse, when a sudden peace descended on you, unexplainable, out of nowhere. That was someone else's coherence reaching you. The web is alive. Think about your own bloodline. Ancestors who endured wars, scarcity, silence. They could not always complete the cycles they began. Trauma crystallized in their DNA, then passed down. You've been carrying echoes of patterns you never personally lived. But when you break loops, you do it for them too. Healing ripples backward. Epigenetic studies already prove this trauma can persist across generations, but so can resilience. When you restructure, the line restructures. The past heals as the present upgrades. The future benefits automatically. And then, scale outward. Imagine millions of small awakenings like yours, sleepless nights turned into thresholds, rituals turned into declarations, coherence turned into collective resonance. Entire cultures could pivot. Education could reorganize around curiosity instead of control. Medicine could integrate energy and biology seamlessly. Relationships could normalize honesty over performance. This is not fantasy, it is phase transition at species scale, and it always begins with nodes like you, anchoring coherence where there was only static. But here's the nuance. Collective expansion is not about martyrdom. You are not asked to carry the world. You are asked to embody coherence so that the world has a model. That's different. The savior complex exhausts. Coherence radiates. The savior complex demands sacrifice. Coherence offers overflow. You are not required to bleed for others. You are required to shine without apology, to live your chosen word with fidelity, and to let the morphic field do the multiplying. So trust this. Every time you breathe into your anchor word, you are doing planetary work. Every time you refuse an old loop, you are rewriting human code. Every time you surrender into coherence, you are helping humanity cross its own sleepless night. Your liberation is the prototype. Your upgrade is the template. Your expansion is the evidence that species-wide awakening is not only possible, it has already begun. Next comes embodiment. Not just thinking about coherence, not just ritualizing it, but feeling it flood your cells until your body itself becomes the sermon. That is where we go now. Up until now, much of what you've encountered has lived in concept, in story, in ritual. But the field doesn't just want your mind to grasp, it wants your body to broadcast. The upgrade cannot remain intellectual, it must be incarnational. The shift is not complete until your nervous system hums with it, until your very posture speaks it, until your breath itself becomes a frequency transmission. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine coherence not as an abstract state but as texture moving through your body. Picture it as liquid light entering through the crown of your head, warm and steady, pooling in the chest, then radiating outward. Not metaphor sensation. Let yourself feel the tingling at the edges of your fingers, the heat gathering at the base of the spine, the expansion behind your sternum. This is your body learning a new dialect of energy. It's how the quantum field writes scripture into muscle and bone. When coherence takes root, the ordinary becomes extraordinary. A single inhale feels like the entire forest breathing with you. A sip of water tastes like electricity softened into liquid. Walking feels less like legs propelling you and more like the earth carrying you forward. These are not hallucinations, they are perception catching up with frequency. Your senses are recalibrating to notice what has always been there, that you are porous, entangled, bathed in resonance every moment. Think of your heart as both drum and speaker. Each beat is a pulse announcing to the field, I am here, I am coherent, I am aligned. Studies already show the heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field of the body, extending several feet beyond your skin. Mystics knew it first, science confirmed it later. When your heart vibrates in coherence, your presence is felt before you speak, before you enter a room, sometimes even before you're aware of it yourself. Others call it charisma or aura. It is simply frequency embodied. Let's get even more tactile. The next time you catch yourself spiraling in restless thought at night, place your hand on your sternum and imagine dialing a radio knob. With each breath, tune yourself away from static. Feel the body respond. Shoulders soften, jaw unclenches, belly releases. That's coherence embedding itself somatically. This is how you train your biology to recognize the shift, not with theory, but with muscle memory. Embodiment also means letting metaphors become lived practice. If your chosen word was receive, then practice literally receiving. Take in the warmth of sunlight on your skin without distraction. Accept compliments without deflecting. Notice the sensation of food nourishing your body instead of rushing past it. If your word was ready, stand taller, widen your stance, walk as if the ground is preparing itself for each step you take. Let body language teach the nervous system what the mind has decided. There is power in micro movements. Lift your chin half an inch when doubt whispers. Drop your shoulders when urgency tries to speed you up. Pause your breath for a heartbeat before you speak a truth. These are tiny acts, but they encode coherence into flesh. Over time, they accumulate into an unmistakable embodied presence, the kind that shifts rooms, the kind that radiates calm through chaos. And the body is generous. It gives back confirmation. When coherence stabilizes, you will notice heat gathering in the palms for no reason, as though your hands want to bless. You may feel buzzing in the soles of your feet, as though the earth is charging you from below. Pressure at the crown, ringing in the ears, flashes of light behind closed eyes. These are not malfunctions. They are signals of a nervous system catching frequencies it once filtered out. Some of you will even begin to dream differently. Not scattered fragments, but cinematic sequences drenched in symbolism, dripping with guidance. You'll wake with sensations that linger, chills across the arms, tears at the corners of the eyes, a weight in the belly that feels like gravity itself has shifted. These dreams are not random, they are rehearsals, body and soul practicing for the timeline you're about to inhabit. Here's the paradox of embodiment. The more you allow these sensations, the less you need to interpret them. The mind demands definitions. The body asks for participation. When tingling arrives, breathe into it. When warmth rises, let it expand. When tears fall without story, let them wash you clean. Interpretation can come later. For now, sensation is scripture enough. There's also a communal layer. When you embody coherence, others feel it somatically too. Someone may sit beside you and sigh in relief without knowing why. A friend may confess they sleep better after talking with you. Strangers may tell you that your presence feels safe, though you said nothing. This is not imagination, it is resonance transfer. Your field is stabilizing theirs. This is embodiment at collective scale. Do not underestimate the humility of this. It doesn't make you a guru, it makes you a tuning fork. You vibrate, they attune. You stabilize, they stabilize. And in the process, the grid brightens. Embodiment is also rehearsal for what comes next, the DNA breakthrough. Because once your body can hold sensation without panic, your DNA can finally flip the switches it's been waiting to activate. The physical vessel becomes strong enough, stable enough, clear enough to house the next octave of consciousness. And that moment when the genome itself begins to glow with coherence is the turning point no soul forgets, which is where we must go now, into the marrow, into the spiral staircase inside each cell, into the phase transition where biology and divinity shake hands. You have felt the flickers already, the buzzing at the crown, the trembling in your chest, the heat that blooms for no reason in the palms or spine. These are not random malfunctions, they are previews of ignition. You are standing before the spiral staircase of your own DNA, and something ancient within you has reached for the switch. The coils that once held patterns of survival, fear, and repetition are beginning to unwind. And as they unwind, they invite something staggering, the collapse of one timeline into another. DNA is not just biology, it is an antenna array. Every double helix inside you is a tuning fork designed to catch signals from the quantum field. For generations, those signals have been muted by trauma, scarcity, collective amnesia. But the sleepless nights, the rituals you've chosen, the embodied sensations you've allowed, they have cleared static from your antennae. The signal is clean enough now that the DNA can shift expression. Genes, dormant for centuries, are flickering to life. Science calls it epigenetics, proteins turning switches on or off depending on environment. Mystics called it awakening, remembering, ascension. Two languages for one phenomenon. Biology learning to host coherence. Your DNA is preparing to run new software. Imagine a computer that suddenly discovers more RAM, more processing cores, a wider bandwidth. Suddenly, operations once impossible become effortless. You are that machine, but with soul. This is why pressure has been so intense. Phase transitions always involve stress. Water feels chaos before it becomes ice. A caterpillar dissolves into formless soup before it becomes butterfly. Systems approaching breakthrough vibrate with instability. You have felt this as anxiety, as urgency, as nights where your chest felt too small to hold your own breath. But that pressure is the sign that critical threshold is near. DNA doesn't flip codes casually. It requires heat, pressure, focus. You have endured all three. And here's the beauty. Once the switch flips, the old loop cannot reinstall. The emergency brake that used to stop you, gone, because the DNA no longer broadcasts danger at visibility. The echo relationships that recycled the same heartbreak, gone, because your nervous system stops collapsing into trauma's script. The hypervigilance that scanned constantly for what's wrong, gone, because your biology learns to seek coherence by default. The breakthrough doesn't erase memory, but it changes the way memory writes your present. Picture your DNA as a staircase coiling upward into light. Each rung is a frequency band. For years you lived on lower rungs, safety, repetition, survival. But recently, the staircase has begun to shimmer. Higher rungs glow with colors your eyes can barely register. You are climbing not by muscle but by resonance. Each breath, each ritual, each embodied sensation has lifted you a rung, and at the threshold ahead, something extraordinary waits. Phase lock. With your expanded timeline, phase lock is when two oscillating systems synchronize. Your current self vibrating with all its habits and your expanded self vibrating with its abundance, its clarity, its coherence, they are aligning. At first, the beats clash, then they begin to harmonize. Finally, they lock. And when they lock, the entire staircase shakes with power. This is the DNA breakthrough. It is less about climbing into a new world and more about becoming the resonance that makes the new world appear around you. You may already feel the symptoms of phase lock. Time-bending days that collapse into hours, minutes that stretch into eternities, dreams that bleed into waking, carrying symbolism too sharp to dismiss, random tears, laughter, or shivers with no logical trigger. Sensations of déjà vu intensifying, as if you are brushing against your own future. These are not side effects, they are confirmations. The staircase is vibrating, the codes are activating. And let's be clear, this is not just personal evolution, it is cosmic responsibility. Because once DNA stabilizes in a higher band, it doesn't stay private. The resonance leaks outward. Your children, your community, even strangers who cross your path will unconsciously register the upgrade. The morphic field absorbs your coherence and offers it to others at discount. What cost you years may cost them months. What cost you nights of sleepless ache may cost them only a single restless hour. That is the gift of pioneers. Do not be afraid of the sensations that may follow. Some will feel like electrical surges, others like vertigo. Some nights you may wake drenched in sweat, heart racing as though you've run miles in your sleep. These are calibrations. The body is metabolizing light information, and it will protest at times. Trust it. Hydrate. Rest when you can. Do not label the symptoms as illness unless true emergency signals appear. Most will pass like storms clearing the air. The greatest danger is not physical, it is hesitation. If you cling to old loops, the DNA shift slows. If you doubt the process, coherence wobbles. This is not punishment, it is physics. The field honors your broadcast. So, broadcast willingness. Keep returning to your word, your ritual, your embodied sensations. These are the scaffolds holding the staircase steady as you climb. And then suddenly it will happen. You will wake one morning and feel it in your marrow. Something is different. The inner noise is quieter. The outer world looks brighter. Synchronicities arrive faster, closer, unmistakable. Conversations unlock opportunities you didn't plan. You feel like you are walking in a dream, but more awake than ever. This is the phase transition complete. DNA broadcasting on a higher band. Timeline collapsed into coherence. Do not rush this moment. When it arrives, savor it, stand in it, anchor it, because this is not the end of the journey, It is the doorway to your mission. Once your DNA is broadcasting coherence, the universe will place new responsibilities in your path. Your liberation becomes blueprint. Your frequency becomes inheritance. Your body itself becomes a lighthouse, whether you wanted it or not. And so we arrive at the closing, the culmination, to understand how your personal shift is not just your victory, but humanity's evolution. That is where this transmission must end, at the place where your marrow meets the cosmos. Now the thread you've been following comes to a braid. Everything we've traced, the sleepless nights, the loops, the ritual, the embodied practice, the DNA ignition, was never private choreography. It was preparation. The work you did in quiet is the work the world needed in secret. You are not exiting into a calmer pond. You are stepping onto a ridge that overlooks a new coast, and from that ridge your life will become a navigation beacon. This mission is simple in description and profound in weight. Live as if coherence matters more than drama. Choose restoration over reactivity. Speak your true word in small circles, and keep faith when applause is absent. These seemingly small commitments add frequency to the grid. They accumulate into new weather. People will not always understand why your presence steadies them, but they will feel it. An involuntary inhale, an easing at the shoulders, a sudden permission to rest. That permission radiates outward like light, refracted through water. You will be offered roles that tempt you to perform or to save. Refuse both. The field needs anchors, not rescuers. Anchor yourself with practices that preserve your bandwidth. Ritual that doesn't consume you. Boundaries that conserve your energy. Rest that is non-negotiable. Radical ordinary discipline, sleep as devotion, breath as practice, attention as altar, will be your most effective activism. This is how quiet people change history, by refusing noise and modeling steadiness until others remember how to steady themselves. There will be moments when the world mistakes your coherence for complacency. Ignore that projection. Coherence is not passivity. It is a rock in tidal waters that shifts currents. You will also face tests designed to reveal whether your new frequency is durable. Meet them with the same humility that carried you this far. Notice the test, feel the pressure, enact the practice, then act from the place of alignment. Each past test thickens your resonance and expands your capacity to influence the morphic field. Remember to keep reflection in your toolkit. Journal the small confirmations, track the synchronicities, note the nights when your ritual pivots into clarity the next day. These records are proof that the invisible is rearranging itself. They also give you a map to return to when doubt whispers that nothing changed. The map will remind you that shifts rarely look like drama and often look like better aligned choices repeated until they become climate. Most crucially, tend your tribe. Seek the ones who hold steadiness as you hold it. Coherence multiplies where supportive fields exist. You don't have to carry the world alone. Carry the small, steady constellation around you and let them carry you back. Teach by embodiment more than sermon. People learn far faster from lived practice than from argument. As the aperture widens, doors will appear that require you to choose quickly and clearly. Use the same litmus test you used in the dark. Does this choice increase coherence in my body, mind, and field? If yes, step. If not, let the door pass. Rapid discernment is the muscle you've been building throughout your sleepless nights. And finally, do not be dazzled by outcomes. The point of this upgrade is not trophies or spectacle. It is to become a living protocol for a species learning to co-create consciously. Your life will ripple farther than you imagine. The quiet acts you perform now will become the scaffolding on which new systems stand. That is legacy. So take one deliberate breath now and feel into the cadence you've practiced. Know that the hunger you felt at 2 a.m., the restless ache that once felt like a wound, has been a summons. You answered by showing up, by ritualizing, by embodying, by staying when abandonment seemed easier. The field noticed. The DNA shifted. The lattice now looks to you. Walk forward with steady feet and an unpanicked heart. Speak your one word when asked. Rest when your body requests it. Choose coherence when chaos calls. And as you go, hold this like a lit coin in your palm, this sentence that has been your map and your promise. If you've been losing sleep, your quantum field is preparing you for a massive frequency shift.